Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lawcast. This time, we're going back to the first WrestleMania of the new millennium. It's a McMahon in every corner. WrestleMania 2000. Amazing how they jumped all the way from WrestleMania 15 to WrestleMania 2000 in just 1 year.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. A very cheesy title, but at the time, that's what was in. 2000 was cool.
Absolutely.
This is a very strange WrestleMania. This year, 2000, is a remarkable year. The pay-per-views this year are of just incredible quality. We've done Fully Loaded 2000, Armageddon 2000, the Royal Rumble is a classic, Backlash is an all-time great pay-per-view. Somehow WrestleMania is just about the worst pay-per-view of this year.
It's not even close. Like this, somehow, in a time where they are so white hot on fire that it almost seems unthinkable that you could put any product on television and have people not desperately fall over themselves to buy it. This show manages to suck. Like, not just be underwhelming. This show is terrible.
It's not good. I mean, really, other than the triangle ladder match, it's a real forgettable to outright bad show.
Yeah. And is this okay? This is the controversial question we've asked many times before. Like, what is the worst WrestleMania main event?
The worst WrestleMania main event?
Yes, this isn't the worst WrestleMania, but like this is up there as one of the worst.
Undertaker Sid was real bad.
Yeah, this isn't the worst one. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but
there's very good stuff in this match, but like on the whole, it's less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, and in terms of like a match with heat on it, half of that match has heat on it, and the other half, like, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple big stories going on here. First is Steve Austin is on the shelf with a neck injury. Went down in November 99, had neck surgery. He's gone for about a year. So no Austin at this WrestleMania. I can imagine there was hope that he would be able to make an appearance here, but they ended up holding that off until Backlash. And based on his kind of physical condition at Backlash, that was definitely the right choice. He was not looking good in a few weeks after this.
Well, that's kind of the funny story about this, is that a lot of stuff ends up getting pushed back to Backlash because of stuff like that.
Yeah. Rock winning the title.
Yeah. And I guess that's the big question of this show, right? Is this remembered as a great show if they just take that Backlash match and move it here?
That was such a great main event.
It's perfect. And they've been building to it for like a year. Like, incredible restraint showed by them. Because Triple H and Rock don't even really touch for months.
Yeah, I mean, so the other big story here is Triple H is now the WWF champion and the top man in the industry. He's even married Vince McMahon's daughter in storyline. Not in real life yet, to solidify himself on top, and kind of an incredible and pretty unprecedented rise for Triple H in the space of a year. I mean, after being pretty firmly in the mid-card for years, he has just shot to the top of the company after WrestleMania 15.
Yeah, I heavily recommend, if you haven't, to go back and watch some of these Raws that like the McMahon-Helmsley era starts.
They're great.
They're amazing from start to finish. Every single like segment on the whole show drips with heat. Every single one.
Somehow, Triple H and Stephanie are way more evil and hateable than Vince was.
So much more. They make Vince immediately sympathetic.
Yeah, well, just like Vince didn't do as much. Like every match on these shows when they're running it, they're fucking the baby faces. Like every match is a handicap match. Every match is some absurd stipulation.
Oh yeah, it'll be like Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, you're sick of fighting each other? Fine. Then it's Edge and Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy and Christian. Fuck you. Yeah. That's like the whole booking sheet.
They made Rock and Mick Foley wrestle each other in a loser gets fired match.
And eventually the workers go on strike.
What a start to Raw that was.
Yeah, and I mean, they did that same thing later, and which is one of our favorite segments of all time.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, the story of Triple H becoming the top guy is just they needed a new heel. At WrestleMania 15, their top heels were The Rock, who was having to turn face because he was just getting too popular, and The Undertaker, who was not really a heel anyway. The crowd was still cheering him, and he was so banged up, it was clear he was going to have to take some time off to heal his injuries. So without those two guys, their options for a top heel are pretty limited. I mean, Big Show, Jeff Jarrett, Owen Hart, Billy Gunn, not the greatest crew.
I guess here's my question is, can you think of any other time in WWE history that they push a heel this hard at all? Not just like from the mid card up into it, but like
I guess
build the company around a heel.
Lesnar?
I guess, but he's a babyface by the time he gets to the top.
That's true. Like once he gets the belt, he's a face, and like that's such a different situation of like he was coming in brand new as a rookie, whereas Triple H has been around for years and never really even been close to the main event.
I mean, the level of heat this gets and the level of like building the whole show around the villain, it's like this is like some Ric Flair NWA style shit of just like this show revolves around the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had a long-term heel champion
ever
in a long time. A long time.
At least since Michaels, right?
Yeah, I mean, Shawn was. And how long was Shawn actually the champ for? Like, he was only champ from Survivor Series to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've reinvented Triple H, and he's reinvented himself. He's got new music. He's now the game. He's got different ring gear. He's changed his body and really bulked up. I just remember when he first came out in the trunks, I was like, yeah, now he's like, that's a star look. Like, he's got it now.
Yeah, we've talked so many times about how he just doesn't get it throughout like the mid 90s to even up through like 2000.
He doesn't know how to dress.
Yes. And it seems like such a small and stupid thing, but he's just not, he doesn't have a clear identity that he's communicating to the audience. And like piece by piece, he gets it. He starts wearing the trunks. He gets Stephanie. He gets the music. He gets all of the shit. And then eventually
starts letting his hair down.
Eventually, one day you turn on the TV and you're like, "That's a fucking star."
Gets the sledgehammer.
Yeah, he gets like the DX stable behind him, but now they're all heels and dickheads, and it just starts work. I can't pinpoint the moment that it starts to work for me, but I honestly think it's pretty much when he gets Stephanie.
Yeah, I feel like that was really getting Stephanie, and then around that same time, he gets the Mick Foley feud, and Foley just puts him over so strong.
The most indelible moment for Triple H during this era for me is the greatest promo of Mick Foley's career that he cuts where he turns from Mankind to Cactus Jack, and the look on Triple H's face when he's selling it. That moment where he looks, literally that's the first time I ever remember that character acknowledging anything, looking vulnerable, not just being like a smart ass piece of shit. Like that's the moment where I was like, oh, this character turned the corner. This is real now.
So what else happened on the way in here? I mean, throughout 99, the Austin McMahon feud had twists and turns. They became friends. Then McMahon betrayed Austin, revealed himself to be the Undertaker's higher power. And then the feud ended at Fully Loaded 99 when Austin beat Undertaker in an end of an era first blood match where either Austin was never going to be able to be WWF champion again, or McMahon was never going to be able to appear on WWF TV again.
And
an absolutely huge match they just kind of threw together on about 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah. And then eventually, isn't it Austin who gets McMahon reinstated?
Yes. Yeah. Like 2 months after that, Austin agrees to let Vince come back in exchange for a title shot.
Nice. And then he doesn't get it, right?
He eventually does get it, but he doesn't get it right away because he's hurt.
Yeah, he gets kind of screwed.
But just a series of I feel like Vince was just like, I got to get myself off TV. Like, let's do a match where if I lose, I have to disappear forever. And then they were impatient, and the ratings, probably went down a little bit. And they were like, got to bring him back.
It's one of my favorite things in WWE history is like those moments where Vince is just like, I got to get off TV.
Let's kill me.
Despite the fact that like a lot of people feel like he's like this huge narcissist who just wants to be on TV, he is almost a dozen times been like, let anything we can do to get me off TV. Kill me. I don't care. Drop a brick wall on me. Fine.
Yeah, he literally got blown up by a limo. And apparently the original vision was he would be gone for like years and years.
I guarantee you that when he heard the news about Benoit, like, I don't want to say that he didn't care, but I do want to say that, like, his first thought may have been like, fuck, I got to go back on TV. Damn it.
We're going to need me. So after Undertaker was gone, it was Triple H's time to shine. We thought we were getting Austin versus Triple H for SummerSlam, but they ended up inserting Mankind into the match, and Mankind shockingly won the match and the title. The kind of buzz at the time was Austin didn't want to lose to Triple H. I don't believe that that's true. I think it was they didn't want Jesse Ventura, who was the referee, to have to like raise the heel's hand in victory there.
It always seemed to me like Austin was more than happy to do business with The Rock and Triple H.
Yeah.
Despite any kind, even if he felt like
he lost to Triple H at No Mercy. Like, I don't think it was a thing about him not wanting to do a job.
And also, Triple H wasn't competition for him. Triple H was the top heel.
Yeah.
It's The Rock that he was nervous about. And I mean, for good reason. But like, even he would put over The Rock too. Like, that's the one thing you can say about Austin is, even though he wouldn't put over, I don't know, say China, he would put over the other people.
So Foley proved to be a total transitional champion. He lost the belt to Triple H the next night on Raw, and Triple H is finally crowned as the world champion. But that only lasts a few weeks because Triple H then loses the WWF title to Vince McMahon on SmackDown.
That is a thing that happens.
I don't know. Never been able to really explain that one beyond just like Vince Russo was super burnt out and like running out of ideas.
Vince wins the title. Sure, fuck, why not? Who cares?
So Vince,
yeah.
Isn't
that a better thing if Test does it?
Test is the WWF champion.
You can totally see a version of this where he is, right?
In this era, anything was possible.
Like, it would have been even better somehow if, like, at his own wedding, he's wearing the belt and he's on top of the world with everything, and Triple H takes it all.
Triple H won the belt back at Unforgiven in a 6-pack challenge. He successfully defended it against Austin at No Mercy. And then at Survivor Series, the main event was supposed to be Triple H versus Austin versus Rock, but Austin had to have his neck surgery. They rode him out of the match by having him get hit by a car. And the Big Show was inserted in Austin's place and totally randomly won the world title.
That is the second time in 4 months that they put somebody in a match at random, and they're like, fuck it, have that guy win.
Yeah. I mean, this is how they booked at the time. The idea of someone holding the belt for more than a couple months was crazy.
Which makes what happens over the course of like the next year absolutely insane.
So Stephanie and Test were supposed to get married on Raw in November. Triple H interrupted that to reveal that he had drugged Stephanie and married her at a drive-through chapel in Las Vegas. And then he had apparently repeatedly raped her.
Yay! And he gets super cheers for this.
Yeah.
The crowd pops huge.
It's a fucked up world.
It's very uncomfortable, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, speaking of uncomfortable, do you remember that Raw that ended where DX tricked Vince into thinking they were raping Stephanie?
Yeah, that they had her in their locker room and they were like, literally, like, the way they filmed it, you were meant to think that they were gang raping Stephanie McMahon. And that was just and then the next week they were just like, aha, we were just kidding about that.
That was just some co-ed.
What?
Yeah, like literally Raw ends with like them all laughing and you can hear them. Vince just like pounding on the door, like, trying to get in.
Like crying Vince. Like, you can't do this. You can't. Oh, no. LOL.
Yeah, like there was some weird stuff going on in 1999. It's like by far, I feel like the edgiest product they ever presented. They dramatically toned things back in 2000.
Well, it also gives you like a real look into like, what does Vince Russo think heat is? because he hadn't really been booking for Heat earlier in the Attitude Era. There's like, you can say like he does a great job of building a number of baby faces and giving a number of people things to do, but like you couldn't really say that he built a ton of heat. But here it's just like they're doing truly despicable things.
So that led to a Triple H versus Vince match at Armageddon, which Triple H won when Stephanie turned on Vince, and turns out that Daddy's little girl has broken bad. This is, as she would later explain, revenge for Vince letting her be kidnapped by The Undertaker as part of his ruse on Austin, which is a nice bit of continuity.
That's the best part of this whole storyline, is that they call back like, hey, you remember about a year ago, Dad, when you lied to me and almost had me sacrificed, and then it turned out it was you just because you hate Stone Cold so much? Well, fuck
you.
And you're like, oh shit, girl's got a point. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that first promo she cuts is so important, and she slays it.
She is, please understand, she has had maybe a dozen real segment, like talking segments on TV before she turns heel. And that's over the course of like 2 years, where she's mostly just appearing on screen as like a prop. And then she gets a microphone and some kind of heel comes out of her like you could never have expected.
Yeah. They put her in a huge spot there, and she just absolutely knocks it out of the park.
And like, look, I will go to my grave saying this: Stephanie McMahon is the greatest heel in wrestling history.
Hot take.
I'm sorry. And like, the only problem with her is only one time that she managed to put a match actually in the ring so she could transfer that heat. But like, her heat transfers all the time to like people that she's just in random segments with. People have gotten over repeatedly just by interacting with her. And like, she has been liquid hot as a heel for 20 straight years.
So Vince and Shane just kind of left, like literally got in their limo and drove away, leaving Triple H and Stephanie to run roughshod over the entire roster. As we mentioned, they just completely fucked over the baby faces at every turn.
Yep.
Triple H won back the WWF title from Big Show on the last Raw of 1999. And then their power trip continued as they forced Rock and Mick Foley to wrestle in a pink slip on a pole match where the loser would get fired. Rock won that match and Foley was fired. As we previously mentioned, Foley is brought back a couple weeks later when Rock gets like the entire roster together, all the heels and all the baby faces, and they all threaten to walk out if Mick isn't reinstated.
I did think it was very cute that after all of their time as Rock and Sock, where The Rock never admitted that he likes him at all.
Yeah.
He's finally like, I will fucking walk out of this company if you don't.
Puts his job on the line to get him back.
It's like, aw.
He loves him.
You're a good guy underneath.
So Mankind versus Triple H was booked in a street fight for the Royal Rumble. Then Triple H absolutely decimated Mankind, like beat him with a chair, put him through the announce table on Raw. Then the next night, that Thursday on SmackDown, in the all-time classic segment, Mankind comes out still wearing the bloody shirt from Raw. Foley says, Mankind is not ready to face Triple H in a street fight at the Royal Rumble, but I know who is. It's Cactus Jack. He pulls off his mask, rips off his shirt, and Triple H, as you said, his jaw hits the floor.
And like, you probably could have stretched this and had this be the WrestleMania match. It's that hot.
Yeah.
Like, they take Mankind, who's not even really super over at this point, honestly. And like, overnight, he's a threat again. Like, it's insane how successful this is.
You could have had Cactus Jack win the Rumble and go to WrestleMania.
If you have the Hell in a Cell match be for his retirement, be the main event of WrestleMania, I think it works.
Imagine that.
And then like that same match with that same ending is a beautiful end to that WrestleMania then.
Yeah.
Instead, we have two amazing WrestleMania main events on either side of WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, so as we mentioned, the Rumble street fight is an all-time classic.
Amazing.
Triple H retains the belt after pedigreeing Mankind on thumbtacks, Cactus Jack on thumbtacks, and just one of the sickest spots you'll ever see. I can't imagine taking that.
It is maybe the most effective finisher I've ever seen in any walk of wrestling. It is
devastating.
It's like an execution. Like, I've never seen anything like that.
That same night, The Rock won the Royal Rumble, last eliminating The Big Show. This would later be revealed to be a controversial finish where Rock's feet actually hit the ground before Big Show's did. So we had a match between Rock and Triple H at No Way Out to determine the number one contender for WrestleMania. But before that, the Radicals debuted in the WWF. Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn, jump ship from WCW, show up in the front row on Raw, and get just an incredible reaction and do a massive rating for their debut.
If this were today, they would have waited until like the day after WrestleMania to debut them. And arguably it may have had more impact if they had, because then maybe they would have had like more to do with them once they actually got in, because they got nothing for them to do.
No, it's such a tough time to debut right before WrestleMania because everything's already set. So yeah, they end up working with China and Too Cool on this show.
Like maybe if you debut them after, and it's like them ganging up on The Rock and trying to get Benoit the belt.
Well, do you think they should have been brought in as heels?
Gosh, I don't know, because the fans don't see him as heels right off the bat.
Fans love him.
But I don't think Vince...
Look, no, Vince is not going to push these guys as faces. They're outsiders.
It's a miracle that he's pushing them at all.
Yeah, I mean, they don't get that. I mean, they all do jobs on their first night in the company on that SmackDown. They all lose their matches.
They literally all four do jobs in singles matches in a row.
It's I mean, it's I mean, at the time I was stunned. Like
that tombstone on him, it's over.
Yeah, and then they turned heel right after that, and I was like, okay, that's weird. That's not what I expected.
Yeah, by the summer, like nobody but Benoit has anything going on. Like it's
they
over.
All end up, yeah. So shockingly, the Big Show beat Rock at No Way Out after Shane McMahon returned, hit The Rock with an epic diving chair shot, which becomes one of my favorite like forgotten Shane McMahon things, that he would literally like throw himself at somebody to hit them with a chair.
And it was so great because it literally be like the lightest chair shot in the world. It'd just be like a tap, but since he throws himself bodily at him, it looks great. That's such a Shane McMahon thing to do. The maximum effort for the minimum result.
So that made the Big Show the number one contender for WrestleMania. And of course, in the incredible main event, Triple H again beat Cactus Jack with the stipulation that if Cactus lost, he would retire. So Triple H retires Mick Foley on the doorstep of WrestleMania. Mick Foley put all his chips in the center of the table. He was either going to main event WrestleMania as the world champion, or he was going home.
And this is one of the very few times in wrestling I've ever seen this, because very often fans don't really want people to retire, obviously. Like, obviously, you'd rather have your favorite wrestlers keep wrestling. But so usually it's not really that big a deal when they come back. Everybody's just like, oh, all right, that's pretty cool. But like sometimes they make such a big deal about being serious about retiring that fans literally kind of turn on the person for coming back. Like, I feel like when Shawn Michaels just came back, it wasn't the big deal it could have been, because people really were like, but you said you were going to stay gone. You said you were the one who was going to stay gone. And it's the same with Mick. Like,
this was bad.
This terrible.
I hate to say it, but I do think this did kind of tarnish his legacy.
It killed his legacy, man.
He should not have come back. It's okay. I think it's okay that if he had come back when he did, like for WrestleMania 20 to do that Orton match, like that's fine. But to come back a couple weeks later, especially after he cut this incredible promo before this show where he's like, I'm not going to prostitute my legacy and be one of those guys who comes back 6 months from now. Like, you can't go that far. Yeah, he came back 3 weeks later.
And I don't blame him. Look, I don't. Like, he's never really gotten that WrestleMania main event payday.
No.
This is an opportunity to get a paycheck like he's
facing
never gotten.
Retirement at like 32 years of age. Like, I can understand that's got to be scary as shit.
There was this moment on Raw that I was watching, or like maybe it was on Twitter or something, and Ricochet said that he had been in the business for 15 years. And then I watched like a show, and Mick Foley also references that he had been in the business for 15 years at this point. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. You compare what kind of physical shape they were both in at that point.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
Mick's body is destroyed. He's just destroyed himself.
And yeah, I mean, there's no two ways about it. Like, he's done. Like,
His
can't get
knees
around.
are gone. His back is gone. Like, he's gotten into decent enough shape to do this Cactus Jack run, but he didn't have anything more in him.
And I guess that's the point, is that for like another decade after this, he keeps trying to find a moment as good as this one to leave on. And he never finds it, because that was the perfect moment to leave on, and he knows it.
And instead, what was his last wrestling match?
Shit.
Have any idea?
Some trash.
Yeah. Royal Rumble appearance, maybe? Yeah. Just unfortunate. He had the perfect here.
What'd you say?
He had the absolute perfect ending here.
Yeah.
And just let it get away. So The Rock agreed to put his career on the line in a match against Big Show with Shane McMahon as the special referee, with the stipulation that if he won, he would be added to the WrestleMania main event. Rock did, in fact, win that match when Vince McMahon made a shocking return as the camera cut to the parking lot. A limo rolls up. Vince gets out. The crowd explodes. Vince power walks to the ring. Triple H runs to cut him off. Vince drops Triple H with one punch. Then he comes to the ring, nails Shane with a chair, takes off Shane's referee shirt, puts it on himself, and counts the pin for Rock. Awesome moment.
God, it's so good.
Yeah. Vince is a full-fledged babyface aligned with The Rock. Also,
if I can cut in for just a moment, here are Mick Foley's last 3 matches, okay? The Royal Rumble 2012, which doesn't really count.
I do kind of remember that, with Hornswoggle.
A Juggalo Championship Wrestling match.
No.
Bob Orton and Roddy Piper versus Foley and Funk.
Oh, my God.
And a Last Man Standing match, Mick Foley versus Ric Flair in TNA Impact. His last singles WWE match was Mick Foley beating Jonathan Coachman in 2007. Special referee, Hornswoggle.
Oh, that's horrible. Jonathan Coachman?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no. No. I mean, he did some good stuff in that interim. It was great when he put over Randy Orton.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And that would have been another good place to go out on, honestly.
He did some weird stuff, too, whatever that Melina shit was.
Yeah. Maybe the match with Edge was a good one to go out on. The WrestleMania moment that he finally gets.
Incredible match.
That should have been the end, but he just couldn't.
That weird Terry Funk feud where he turned heel.
He just couldn't leave it alone.
No. So somehow, for reasons I don't really remember, we ended up having the Triple H versus Big Show versus Rock Triple Threat WrestleMania main event on Raw instead of at WrestleMania. Triple H once again won and retained the title. The stipulation was if the match happened on Raw, it wouldn't happen at WrestleMania. So we needed a new WrestleMania main event. And at this point, Linda McMahon comes out and makes an earth-shattering announcement. WrestleMania would be headlined by a fatal 4-way match featuring Triple H defending against The Rock, The Big Show, and this man, Mick Foley.
And he gets a pop. But
it's an amazing pop.
Yeah, he gets a great pop.
Chicago.
I mean, they're so happy to have him back.
It's so great to see him in the main event.
But literally, he looks like he's gained like 100
He's
pounds.
gained so much. It's incredible someone can gain this much weight in such a short period of time.
It's literally like he went home and was like, I never have to be in wrestling shape again. Give me 50 pumpkin pies
Yeah.
stacked.
Just all the Chicago pizza in the world he was eating.
And I'm not going to hate on him for that because good for you, Mick.
He was retired.
You
Yeah.
did it. You're done. Do what you want. Live your life. But then he comes back and he's just not in shape. He's shaved all his hair off, so he looks like an asshole.
Yeah. So according to Dave Meltzer, they were always going to do a fatal four-way here because they wanted to do the McMahon in every corner gimmick. And the only question was, who the fourth guy was going to be. The other couple names I've heard are Rikishi and Jericho, maybe Undertaker if he had been healthy. But like of the available options, Foley is definitely the one who's going to get the biggest pop. And, they begged him to do it. They felt like they needed a big star for that fourth spot, and they didn't have anybody else.
Well, we've mentioned this before, but like this company is so much like a tripod at this point. Like you have Triple H, The Rock, and Stone Cold, and everyone else is like a solid mile away. It's like then there's Taker, and then the tier drops another mile down into the ground, and then there's everybody else. So it's so weird to have this. Let's also talk, like we didn't really talk about this, but the Big Show should not be in this spot.
Oh, the Big Show is trash.
And like he's got his title match around after he wins the title at Survivor, or was it Survivor Series? Yeah. Is one of the worst of all time. Like you might think that like Rey Mysterio's title reign is the worst of all time, and I'll grant you it's terrible. But the Big Show literally wrestles nobody but the Big Boss Man in like the mid card of Raw.
Yeah.
Like it's pathetic. They have no faith in him, and yet they're still putting him in these spots.
No, I have no idea why they put the belt on him. I have no idea why they thought Triple H should lose the title.
It's baffling. And then Triple H just gets it back. Like literally they have a match for the title on Raw, and like I think like The Rock helps Big Show win, and it's like, oh shit. And then the next week they're just like, nah, we're actually gonna put it on Triple H.
Yeah, so just like straight up, Triple H should have won the belt at SummerSlam and held it until WrestleMania.
Absolutely. No question about it. That's what they would have done today. That's for sure.
So Undertaker was supposed to be back for this show, but he got hurt training. Maybe he would have been the fourth man in the main event, or maybe it would have been him and Kane in a tag match against DX. I don't know.
Well, here's the fun part, is that I think definitely he's the fourth man in the main event. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
But then he loses.
Yeah. That's and right. Would have killed the streak.
It would have killed the streak.
Strangled the streak in the crib.
They wouldn't have even known what they were doing to themselves.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it. Like how they just lucked. Like there was no plan for this to happen. They didn't even realize he was undefeated at WrestleMania until like, I don't know, WrestleMania 18 probably.
Yeah, they just luck into this streak. They just luck into not fucking themselves over. And then the streak winds up carrying their business for a decade.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many points where it could have just been like, oh, let's put Giant Gonzalez over him. Taker can win the rematch. Or like, ooh, Bundy's hot. Let's put Bundy over. Would have been Bundy Mania's big chance.
Fucking Sid should have ended the streak, and you can't convince me otherwise.
There was a hint that Foley was going to win this main event. So they announced that he was retired. He was only coming back for this one match. So that if he won the title would immediately be vacated and there would be a tournament to crown a new champion, which would conclude at Backlash. I kind of love that they put that out there because at the time it did make me think Foley was going to win. And I'm not sure that wouldn't have been the right call.
I mean, I kind of do love that idea. And then maybe just have Triple H and The Rock in the finals of the tournament.
Yeah, of course, that's where it would have ended.
Right. But I mean, like, that gives you more time to build even more heat on that match. Yeah. You give Mick his moment. You could just make Mick the commissioner right then and there. Like, hey, I retire. I'm the commissioner now. My first official act is to book the tournament for my replacement.
But putting Triple H out, having Triple H leave with WrestleMania as champion as a heel, I think did establish him as something special.
It's so historically significant. And I mean, it was
first time it had ever happened. And like, I mean, I don't know, face heel is a lot fuzzier now, but it still hasn't happened all that many times over the years for the heel to win the WrestleMania main event.
Especially not when it's something like this, where like the babyface is the hottest thing in the world. And they're like, nope, heel wins.
So yeah, I mean, other things that happened on the way in here. The Rock hosted Saturday Night Live, which was huge for him. I mean, that I feel like was his launching pad to really become a movie star. Show did a great rating. Rock did a great job, and also like it was kind of a coming out party for Big Show because this is where Big Show showed that he was funny and charismatic.
Yeah,
Which
and that's
doesn't
good.
lead to anything for a very long time.
I think it kind of is what saves his career, though, is that it makes like they know that he has another dimension, and they spend so many years trying to find it.
Yeah,
and then he just starts doing impersonations of Hulk Hogan on TV.
Yep. Other odds and ends. They did a big fan access. I don't remember if it was called that quite yet, but it was the prototype for it.
Yeah.
This is only the only time they did WrestleMania all day long, which was a mix of like some live coverage from the arena with replays of previous WrestleManias. I think it was like an extra $5, and this was the only time they did it. But I thought it was an incredibly cool idea.
Oh God, yeah, and basically it's just what they do on the network now.
Yeah,
is that you can wake up like
WrestleManias all day.
Absolutely, and then like they have the pre-show. Like it's still a normal show. Like they haven't yet gotten to the idea that like, hey, we can make WrestleMania like a tent pole event that hangs like a whole weekend on itself.
Yeah,
but they're just starting to come to that.
It is kind of crazy that they didn't run a stadium here. Like that they still weren't confident enough to do that.
They're just in fucking Anaheim, man. That's not even one of their big towns.
Does not feel big time at all.
They're not even in LA. They're just in Anaheim.
Yeah. So to get into the show, it's Sunday, April 2nd, 2000. We're at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. The announced attendance is 19,776. The real attendance is 18,034, with 16,716 paid for a gate of $1,347,000 plus a stunning $227,000 in merchandise sales, which is like nearly $20 a head.
That is outrageous. I mean, that's like 2 t-shirts a head back then.
Yeah. Stunning. Buy rate is massive. They do over 800,000 buys. 824,000 is the approximation I've seen. That's up from the previous year when Austin and Rock did a massive number of 800,000. I mean, it's an incredible success to do a bigger number without Steve Austin.
And, you know, I think WWE learns the wrong lesson from this. Because I think what they learn, like what they take away is, okay, Triple H can draw. Like he's a genuine draw. But I don't think that they've learned that like a heel can be a draw. I think they just take away that, oh, it's just Triple H who can do this. Because they do it again with him in 2002 where it's like, oh, well, we need a heel on top. Well, I guess it's got to be Triple H. He's the only one who can draw. But like anybody could have gotten over probably with the storyline as strong as this one was.
Maybe not Billy Gunn.
All right, not Billy Gunn. Yeah, that's true. Probably not Test. But I mean, but you know what I mean. Like it wasn't just uniquely Triple H. Like he got every advantage you could possibly get.
Oh, we cut straight into the arena where Lillian Garcia performs the Star-Spangled Banner. It's always interesting how they seem to just kind of go back and forth between the national anthem and America the Beautiful.
Where would you rank this in the listing of the best national anthems, America the Beautifuls, whatever, that we've seen in WrestleMania history up to this point?
It was all right.
Yeah,
it's better than Rockin' Robin's.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah,
but I mean,
better,
like, we've seen
better than Gene Okerlund's, but yeah, we've seen like Little Richard, like Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin.
We just saw Boys to Men, man,
yeah,
and now
they did an amazing job. Better than the DX band at WrestleMania 14.
Oh Jesus, Steve!
So I've never actually seen it because they cut it out of the DVD releases.
Imagine performing the national anthem so badly that Vince McMahon doesn't even like it. Like
it's disgraceful.
Vince McMahon gets a stiffy whenever he hears the national anthem.
Then a video package highlights the history of WrestleMania and the Fatal 4-Way main event. I always love WrestleMania is the one time in this era they will actually go back to history.
It doesn't even exist except at WrestleMania.
Yeah. This is the showcase of the Immortals.
And like Freddie Blassie's whole career was just built on this one payday a year.
Yeah. WrestleMania.
But this one was like Keith David, wasn't it?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, they got that Keith David voiceover. It's good shit.
Should also comment on the theme song for this show. It's a song called California by Jim Johnson, which is 100% just a knockoff of California Love, but they didn't want to pay the rights fees for it.
Imagine listening to California Love, except instead of being good, it was just like, yeah, California.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It's so bad.
Opening match. We've got the Godfather and D'Lo Brown against the Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. Doesn't that sound like WrestleMania?
Fart, fart, farty, fart, fart. And also, this is where we get our only celebrity of the night.
Ice-T!
This is one of my favorite. Look, the Godfather, let me just get this out of the way. The Godfather is a character that objectifies women and sexual violence and all of that stuff. It's horrible. Look, I'm not proud to have enjoyed the Godfather for one single solitary second, but it's just such a joyful character, and this is a really cool entrance.
Oh yeah, Ice-T does a rap version of the Godfather's theme, which includes some gem lyrics like "Grab your bitches," which he just yells into the microphone at the top of his lungs at one point.
My favorite thing is I feel like he just memorized the lines backstage because he hadn't done them since he did the album. So literally he's got it got it going in his head. So he has to take a breath and he'll just come back in. He'll be like, pimpin' ain't easy, man. And then he'll take a breath and be like, impin' ain't. Like he just picking the song back up where in its head it kept playing.
Oh. I have no memory of Bull Buchanan's debut. I feel like he just showed up as Boss Man's new sidekick.
Yeah, I'm up in my Attitude Era rewatch to January, and Boss Man's still teaming with Albert. So I don't know where the hell Bull Buchanan comes into this.
So Bull Buchanan, I think, was an a Smoky Mountain Wrestling product, right? He was a Cornette guy.
He seems like it, yeah.
Big athletic dude, 6'5", 250 plus, jacked, super athletic. At one point in this match, he just jumps up to the top rope, off 1 foot.
Yeah, he does that Shelton Benjamin shit, but he's twice as big.
No charisma to speak of.
No, and that's the leg drop he finishes this match with. He gets up 20 feet in the air.
So yeah, it's just a tag match. It's not terrible. It's nothing special. It doesn't seem like there was a whole lot of feud here, as I remember.
There's no heat at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing here, even in the slightest. This is the last thing Boss Man really ever does, right?
Yeah, he does. I'm trying to think of anything after this. I mean, him and Bull are kind of the goon, two of the goons for the McMahon Helmsley faction whenever they need extra muscle. But yeah, he doesn't do a whole lot after this.
Yeah, I feel like by this point, he's just kind of gone.
Yeah. Boss Man and Buchanan get the win when Buchanan hits a massive leg drop off the top rope.
Hell yeah.
And then they chase the hose away.
Also, must be mentioned that the Godfather decided to come down to this ring cosplaying as Rick James in this match.
Yeah.
You can't not mention that because this is the only time he ever does it.
We get a quick little backstage segment where Triple H and Stephanie admire their belts. Stephanie has won the women's title at this point.
That was a stroke of genius, too. I loved that.
I mean, that belt didn't mean anything at this point.
No, and just to have her carry it around and just be like,
I never defend it.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the Hardcore Title Battle Royal, the rules of which I don't know. They're kind of unclear, to be honest.
They even do a segment beforehand where Tim White lays out the rules. And at the end of it, I'm like, I don't know what the rules are.
Here's the biggest thing. I think you can only pin the champion, right?
Yes.
Because that's the big thing. They never say that, but nobody else gets pinned or no one ever attempts to pin anyone else.
Also, they don't really mention this, but everyone who wins the title in this match has a title reign. Like, this isn't one of those matches like the scramble matches where it doesn't count.
Well, they were doing the 24/7 thing at this point anyways. This belt was changing hands literally every show.
Yeah, like Taz becomes a 2-time champion during this match.
Sure. Just take a shit on the belt right in the middle of the ring while you're at it.
Literally everyone in this match takes turns doing a job. Like, it makes everyone look like an asshole.
Yeah, so our participants, we've got the defending hardcore champion, Crash Holly, Taz, Viscera, Pete Gas, Joey Abs, and Rodney of the Mean Street Posse, Hardcore Holly, Taka and Funaki, the Headbangers, and the APA. That is a random collection of talent.
The APA, nobody in this match is really over particularly, especially Taz, which is hilarious because he debuted like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And like, he has such a great entrance and everything's great.
He does get a pretty nice pop. But
yeah, but like the shine is already off. Like, it was probably off the second Triple H buried him in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Like, immediately Taz hits a big suplex on Crash and pins him. And then off camera, Viscera does something to Taz and pins him. Sorry, Taz.
Now, if I could have rebooked this match, if it's up to me, I would have had Crash just keep the title the whole time until the very end.
Have him just like run away.
Yeah, just like literally he's the Houdini of hardcore. Just like have everyone chase him through the whole building for 15 minutes.
I think that would have been good comedy. I mean, the other thing, if you were going to try to push Taz, could have had Taz win it right away and just be like King of the Hill the whole match.
Yes, that would have been fine too.
He's just fighting off everybody, and like finally at the end he can succumb and get pinned.
Or not. Or he just keeps it.
Yeah, and like try to reestablish the hardcore title as something serious.
Like, if you give him the hardcore title and he's the ECW guy, and like he could have made something of that.
You could build it up to have him fight the world champion eventually.
Fuck yeah, he's the hardest core, man. Like, that's what I would have done. Have him beat Crash in 20 seconds and keep it. Or have Crash run until it's just him and Hardcore in the ring, and then Hardcore betrays him. Either way is fine. You go comedy or you go serious. What they do instead is just chuckle fuck nonsense.
Everyone just sort of mills around, hitting each other with stuff. JR gets in a great line saying, "This looks like a Saturday night on a payday weekend in Muskogee." As we tick under 10 minutes, Viscera is still champion. Viscera goes up to the top rope. He gets thrown off by Farouk and Bradshaw, and then Farouk smashes a 2x4 on Viscera's head. Bradshaw hits him with a diving shoulder block off the top rope, and everyone dogpiles on Viscera to get the pin. They give the win to Funaki, so he is our new champion. He immediately flees the ring and runs backstage.
It's at this point, like, the APA isn't really doing the protection stuff a lot yet, are they? Because I got the feeling from watching this that, like, Funaki and Taka had paid them off to help them win the title.
I did not figure that out.
Okay, because they were, like, protecting Taka and Funaki. Because, like, they shove Funaki on top of Viscera. Like, Bradshaw and Farouk don't try to win. And then they try to, like, they beat up everybody else around them. So I think the idea was that Taka and Funaki hired them to help them win the belt. But, like, I could be totally off with that. That's just what it looked like to me.
The posse chases Funaki backstage. They beat him up. Rodney gets the pin. Then Joey Abs suplexes Rodney on the concrete and pins him. Thrasher pins Joey Abs. Thrasher comes back through the curtain, gets blasted with a fire extinguisher by Pete Gas, and Pete Gas gets the win, pin to win the hardcore title. Yeah. Pete Gas at this point has bladed and is doing like Steve Austin WrestleMania 13 level blade job here.
What was he thinking with that?
What a fool. Pete Gas isn't even a wrestler. Like, for real, he's just like Shane's friend from Greenwich.
I feel like somebody else would have had to have bladed him. And I don't know who in this match did it, but I wouldn't trust anybody in this match to do that to me.
No. Like Farouk and Bradshaw are likely to mass transit you.
Yeah. It's just so funny to me that like the entire Mean Street Posse get actual title reigns on their resume in this match.
I think Rodney is also just Shane's friend. I think Joey Abs was the one who was an actual wrestler.
Yeah, I think so.
He looks like a real wrestler. Yeah. Rodney and Pete Gas are just these douchebags from Greenwich who used to party with Shane McMahon.
Now, it must be said that by 2000, they've really found their niche. Like, their role is just like stupid flunkies for Triple H.
I love the Mean Street Posse.
There's a whole show where like they just stand in butlers outfits behind the couch Triple H and Stephanie are standing on and just keep fucking things up. And then Triple H keeps booking threatens to like book them in a match against the APA, and they're like, "No, we'll be good. We'll be good."
Oh, what a brilliant gimmick!
Oh my god, they're just such great flunkies.
Yeah, like they're just the pawns. They're the first line of defense you send out there to get their asses kicked.
Yeah, it's just funny to me that they become the Stooges for Triple H.
Yeah,
like that's just what they are.
Much worse version of the Stooges.
Yes, agreed.
You have the real Stooges who are these like respected, hard-ass, Hall of Fame professional wrestlers. And then you got these douchebags in sweater vests.
Oh, boy.
Oh, what happens next? Taz hits Pete Gas with a T-bone suplex and pins him. Crash then hits Taz with a cookie sheet and pins him with 30 seconds to go. Taz then gets the Taz mission on Crash. Crash is fading as the clock ticks under 10 seconds. Hardcore Holly comes in, hits Crash and Taz with a candy jar. He gets the pin, or does he? No one really knows.
Now, did they fuck up this finish, or was that actually the plan?
I think this had to be fucked.
Because Hardcore Holly's timing was perfect. Yeah. He hits him with the jar. He falls on top literally with 3 seconds to go. And Tim might go 1, 2, and then just stops.
The referee just doesn't count the pin, but Crash doesn't kick out. So I don't know whether Crash was supposed to kick out or whether the referee just screwed up, like didn't know who was supposed to win, so he didn't make the count. But yeah, it's Crash starts to leave with the belt, but the referees take it away from him and give it to Hardcore Holly. I guess Holly must have been Hardcore Holly was supposed to win because that's who they announce as the winner.
Right. I would have to guess so. But it's just such a weird way to do it. Yeah.
Crash wins the belt back on Raw the next night, but I don't think that's really an indication of anything. That was a stupid-ass match. What a waste of 15 minutes.
What a waste of Taz. Look, we've taken so many dumps on Taz on this show.
We have.
Let me be nice to him for a split second. Like, you hire him. He was the ECW champion. He carried that company on his back as their only true main eventer for 5 years. You bring him in. Amazing entrance, amazing debut where he beats Kurt Angle and ends the winning streak, right? Huge pop for him. Here, 2 months later, he loses to Viscera and Crash Holly in the same match. What is happening?
Why? Great. Not great.
He does a clean job to Triple H on Raw or on SmackDown. It's like, okay, all right, I guess.
Now they show highlights of Access. The coolest thing here was probably the booth where you could do commentary on a match with Michael Cole, and they would like record it and give it to you.
That depressed me so much. Imagine you're Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Poor Michael Cole.
Last year, you got to call WrestleMania.
This year, your stupid ass has to sit there while any chuckle fuck wanders up and just like, oh, this is stunner. And just, you have to be like, yeah, let's call the match.
How many people did he have to do with that day? Like 100?
I just want you to imagine in your mind. Like, I have tried to do commentary on wrestling shows.
It's fucking hard.
Yeah, despite the fact that I am constantly talking about wrestling and often won't shut the fuck up about it, it's incredibly hard to do commentary on wrestling shows. Fuck, it's hard enough to do a podcast about wrestling.
Like, you're Michael Cole. You're a war correspondent. Like, you covered the Gulf War. Like, was in harm's way in battle, and now you're doing this.
And he's such a good sport about
Yeah.
everything. Like, why do we not give more credit to Michael Cole? Can we please just agree to be nice to this poor fuck? Please?
Did he win Worst Announcer of the Year in the Observer Awards this year?
I think he may have. I know that he wasn't even on the list for best, which was just a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like, look, there is nobody who is better at doing that in the industry right now than him. I mean, I can understand if you don't like him, because God knows he's forced to say some absolute dumb stuff.
And I'm just bored with hearing the same voice for 20 years now.
But he's smoother than anyone. Maybe even at this point, he's smoother than JR.
Oh, wait. I mean, way smoother than JR at this point is not good.
Yeah. Like, Michael Cole is the most polished wrestling announcer I've ever heard. Like, you can't perturb him. It's impossible. He's been screamed at by Vince in this headset for 20 years. He doesn't care.
Backstage, we see Al Snow talking to someone in a bathroom stall about how this is going to be the greatest entrance in WrestleMania history. Then Steve Blackman shows up and says he doesn't want any tomfoolery tonight. But oh, there will be shenanigans.
I love head cheese.
It's a pretty fun concept.
Can we take a moment just to talk about Al Snow's super weird heel turn in the fall before this?
Barely remember it. Wasn't he jealous that Mick Foley was friends with The Rock?
Yeah, they do this like 9-month slow burn heel turn where he like frames The Rock for throwing Mick Foley's book in the trash, and then like is jealous of their friendship, and so he turns, and then he cuts like a bunch of shoot promos on the audience. They're basically just like, fuck you guys. I never needed you. I never needed any of you. I've been wrestling for 20 years, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's so odd. Like, it's out of nowhere.
And I feel like they drop it after like 2 months, a month.
Oh, yeah. He's a total babyface here. Like, he was doing that in January, and here we are in March, and he's smiling babyface.
And he got like one match against The Rock on Raw out of it, I think.
He beat him.
He beat him?
With interference.
Well, but just, God, The Rock did a lot of random jobs.
Yeah, only to comedy guys.
Yeah. Then we zoom in on Trish's chest as she leads Test and Albert to the ring.
Boy, that's awkward, isn't it?
That doesn't hold up well.
Hey, it's Trish's tits.
Speaking of things that don't hold up well, Head Cheese is out first, and they bring out Chester McCheesington, a pervy-looking dude in a cheese suit.
And Al Snow has maybe the line of the night. He's just like, it's just like Michael's coming down the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
What? It feels like something kind of weird happened here with Chester. Like, did he like not do what he was supposed to?
I don't know, but they stiff the fuck out of him at the end of this match.
Yeah, that is like the only real Okay, the real highlight here is Jim Ross just bearing this match on commentary.
He hates it so much.
JR calls the match bowling shoe ugly, which like seems like maybe the debut of that phrase.
Well, the whole first half of the match, like Jim Ross is having troubles with his headset.
Yeah, he's clearly pissed.
It's just Jerry
like, haha, I get to call the match by myself.
But like he keeps nervously being like, "Is it fixed yet? I don't know how to do this. Is it fixed yet?"
Yeah. So TNA wins after Test hits an elbow drop off the top rope. JR says 2 teams that really didn't get on track here.
Boy, what a burial that is.
Openly being like, yeah, this match sucked.
Do you think they could have done more with Steve Blackman than they actually did? Because I really liked him in that Hitman.
He's actually got like a quiet. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Is it like when he was feuding with Shamrock in '99?
Yeah, and even when like Stephanie was employing him to help Kurt Angle win and stuff like that, just like I like
think he lacked, like, he could actually be funny. Like, that was where he had his charisma, was doing like serious, like, I'm way too like self-serious kind of comedy.
Yeah.
The heel, it seemed like they couldn't get anything out of him.
Yeah, I kind of liked him as like the soulless assassin type.
Yeah.
But like, I get it. Like, it just wasn't really working.
I mean,
And
he
how
had
do
a
you?
great look, incredible body. He was okay in the ring. And like, yeah, I've always got a soft spot for, I was like, karate guys, shooters, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I always loved him. I never had any idea what you could possibly do to get him over.
Back in the Cat's locker room, she's butt-ass naked with Mae Young, and they do the Austin Powers joke where all of her private parts are covered by different objects.
This is probably the cleverest humor that you get during this era.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So, quick interview with the Dudleys, who Bubba has dropped the stuttering gimmick, but he is still doing the Southern accent.
What do you think of the catchphrase about like the 3 commandments of the Dudley Boys or whatever?
I love it.
Do you?
Except when you say "thou shalt not mess," it's lame.
Yeah, it's thou shalt not fuck with the Dudley Boys.
Thou shalt not fuck with the Dudley Boys.
God, I wonder if there are a lot of people out there who have never seen them in ECW and like don't know.
It's the most vicious, nasty, vile heels imaginable.
Like, we all kind of laugh at Bubba Ray for like the heat that he tries to get on the indie scene these days, but like, just understand, in ECW, a guy once jumped out of a balcony to try to fight Bubba Ray.
Yeah, like it's just a kind of heat you didn't see in wrestling at that point.
Like literally, they would just get the mic and just for 20 minutes pick apart every member of the audience until they wanted to kill them.
Just saying the most vile, awful things, like every kind of slur imaginable.
Oh, yeah.
Homophobic shit, racist shit, like awful, awful stuff.
Like, they went down, they would like go into the front row and find old ladies and like punch them in the face. Like, it was out of control.
Yeah, like they're legitimately trying to provoke riots and succeed in.
Yes, like we're talking like old school Southern. This is like the end of that. This is like the last time you ever see that old school Southern heat.
Yeah.
And so like that's why they're coming out with like Confederate flags on and shit. It's not because they thought that was super cool. That's heat. That's the kind of cheap ass heat they were going for.
Do you prefer the Dudleys, like with their ECW look with the tie-dye, or like the camo they were rocking here and kind of became their WWE look?
They're both stupid.
Sure.
I don't prefer either one.
So we've got the epic triangle ladder match here as the Dudley Boys defend against the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Dudley's won the tag belts from the New Age Outlaws at No Way Out. We got Edge and Christian out first. They're still doing like that. They're not silent, but they're still kind of just like quiet loner baby faces. They are still coming through the crowd here. The writers had wanted to break them up, but Edge and Christian successfully lobbied to stay together and turn heel, which ends up making them both stars.
Yes. And let the record show that like, while at the ladder match that they had with the Hardy Boys is a legendary match, and so is this, they're kind of
lame.
They're lost here. Like they
don't have. I mean, they're good. Yeah, they don't have much. Like because they're not like the Lost Boys. They're not like the Silent Vampires anymore. Like they talk, but they don't really have characters.
They're just kind of dudes, and like the Dudley Boys are getting over huge.
Yeah,
and they're stars here. And like this match, but this match is Jeff's match. And we all know that. Like, that's what you'll remember.
Yeah, Matt and Jeff are at second. I love that they run under all the ladders in the ramp during their entrance.
I love that that's what becomes Jeff's thing, is that he doesn't give a shit. He's going to die anyway. What do you need luck for?
And then the Dudleys are third. They're the heels, but they're getting a lot of cheers.
I mean, they're just different.
So cool.
Yeah. And they've just come off like 20 matches in a row against the APA where they all four just beat the fuck out of each other.
That was the test they passed. They passed the APA test.
Like, to the extent that they actually put it on. Like, I remember watching a Raw and then APA being like, Well, at least you're not like that Public Enemy. We don't like it, but you ain't
Yeah.
like them.
Yeah, no. Backstory, the APA had a match against the Public Enemy on like Heat where they just like straight up shot on them and like stiffed them and ran their asses out of the company.
And I don't remember. I remember that something caused it. Like it wasn't just them being assholes out of nowhere. Not that I'm sure it's great that they did that, but I think they were just like being prima donnas in the locker room or something. And like, yeah,
Something like that.
that was the beginning of the APA will kill you if you don't do business.
And that was also the storyline that no one backstage liked them, is the funny part.
Yep.
The ladders come out early. Everyone gets hit with them. Jeff puts Bubba on a ladder and goes for a 450 splash. But Bubba moves and he splats on the ladder.
It's so much worse even than it sounds because Jeff wasn't great at the 450. Like he would always over rotate and kind of hit the ground with like his chest and neck.
It's good that he stopped doing it.
Yeah, because he does the 450 here and he like hits the ladder with like the top of his collarbone. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
That looks so painful.
Bubba hits a huge senton off the second rope onto a ladder that's on top of Jeff.
Jesus.
Edge then rides a ladder down onto Matt, who is under another ladder. Christian hits a crossbody off a ladder down to the floor onto Bubba and Matt. We're like less than 5 minutes into this match, and this has all happened already.
Like, this is bigger high spots than like any other match you've ever seen.
I mean, like there was a lot in the like Matt and Jeff against Edge and Christian match, No Mercy in the fall. This is so much more.
Yeah, like you get the feeling watching, and like the crowd, they're not really It's similar to the ladder match and to the original ladder match, where it's just kind of like they're trying to relearn wrestling as they watch it. Like, what am I seeing right now? It's just spot after spot after spot.
Yeah, there's 3 ladders set up in the center of the ring. Christian climbs, but Bubba hits a Bubba cutter off the ladder. Then Matt and Jeff both climb ladders, and they hit a leg drop splash combo on Bubba. 2 more ladders in the middle of the ring. The Hardys and Edge and Christian climb. Matt hits a twist of fate off the ladder, and Christian hits a Russian leg sweep. And that's basically a transition spot in this match.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's all you're going to do? You're just going to Russian leg sweep a guy off of 10 feet in the air? Boo.
Everyone climbs again. Christian and Matt splat on the floor. Edge and Jeff get crotched on the ropes. The Dudleys sandwich Christian between the ladders, and then they hit the 3D on Edge. The Dudleys set up a table across the top of the 2 ladders, so it's like a scaffold.
Be honest. When you saw that for the first time, what did you think was going to happen?
Somebody was going to get powerbombed through it.
Yeah, I thought they were going to set up another bigger ladder and like powerbomb somebody through it, and I thought somebody was going to die. Like
that would have been nuts.
I remember seeing it, and like Jim Ross saying on commentary, like, "What the hell is that for?"
That's the thing, is it ends up being pretty anticlimactic how it gets used.
It's like, oh, they just stand on it. All right.
Yeah, that's
cool, I guess.
Bubba takes Matt outside. He powerbombs him off the Spanish announce table through another table. Just nasty stuff.
And like, there's this idea in wrestling that like tables break your fall. They don't, though. Is the king. Like sometimes they do, but for whatever reason too, like the tables they have here are disintegrating when people go through them.
Yeah.
Like the one Matt goes through at the end, like isn't even intact at all. Like he's just lying in bits at the end.
Devon misses a splash off the top rope and crashes through a table. Bubba then sets up like a gigantic 20-foot ladder in the aisle and a table. Bubba goes to put Jeff on the table, but Christian hits him with the ring bell. Bubba is knocked out on the table, so Jeff climbs all the way up this massive ladder, balances on the top of it, and hits this iconic swanton bomb. This ladder probably legitimately like 15 feet high.
Yeah.
This is like jumping off Hell in a Cell.
when they show the view of like from like the entryway, so you just see him like standing like 10 feet above the crowd, and it's just him. And let's be clear, we've mentioned this before. It is not easy to stand on top of a ladder. Nobody does that.
Except
Like
Jeff Hardy.
in wrestling, people stand on like a rung down, and even then they look shaky. These things shake, but Jeff Hardy is balanced perfectly up there. He does his fucking symbol. This is the moment that makes his career.
I mean, it's an unforgettable moment.
It fixes in your mind. Anywhere, if you've ever seen this match, you'd never forget the moment that you saw him do this. And then he misses the table.
Yeah, he overshoots it.
He like straight up lands on his fucking tailbone.
Oh my God. How is he alive? How is he walking?
I guess that's the mysterious thing. It's like, obviously, he gets like a major drug addiction, and I'm sure that all stems from painkillers from this period. Because like over the next year, he's in like 27 of these.
It's insane. It's so irresponsible.
And he has to take the big bump in all of them.
I'll just say they never should have done. This should have been it. They shouldn't have done rematches. Like they were great, but it was just they were just pushing these guys so far.
And like they realize they never try it again like this with any other guys.
Yeah.
It's just that, and it's such a shame that they do it here because these guys are some of the future stars of this company.
Absolutely.
This shit cuts all of their career short.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Edge ends up having to retire with his neck injury. You know, Jeff and Matt are still kind of going, but they're fucked up. Like
the only person still going is Jeff, and I don't know how.
No, it's crazy.
And maybe it's just because all of those drug suspensions and going to TNA gave him a break.
That he didn't have to work as much. Yeah.
But like
Christian ended up retiring young. Devon's done. Bubba's kind of going, but not really.
All those leg drops off of ladders are why Matt walks like he's fucking riding a horse all the time.
Yeah. So back in the ring, Matt hits Devon with a twist of fate. Christian and Matt climb the ladder and fight on the table structure. Edge climbs up. Him and Christian throw Matt off, and Matt crashes through a table. Edge and Christian grab the belts to a huge pop. I mean, just an incredible match.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is way more over coming out of this than they were when they went in. I mean,
these guys are stars.
Yeah, that's just safe to say. Like these guys are all made. And this will go on to be the case for all of these guys for most of their careers. Jeff's the one you remember. This is Jeff Hardy's match.
And backstage, Kevin Kelly interviews Linda McMahon and Mick Foley. Mick does not have very much to say here. All the coolness has been sucked out of his character at this point.
You almost feel like Mick realizes that that he knows that he's prostituting himself here.
Mick Foley is not a dumb man. He knows that like this is like hurting his legacy, but it's too big, hard to turn down that kind of payday. There were a lot of zeros in the check he got for this show.
Yeah, let's be clear. Like this isn't just like a bigger payday than usual. Like
for the biggest payday of his career by a huge margin.
Yeah, for some 800,000 buys, like the percentage that they get has got to be astronomical. Plus, he's probably getting some of the merch money. And you said,
the company gross on this show, I think it was like I think this show was probably 35 or 40 bucks. Let's say 40, 800,000, 32 to 16 million. I mean, easily. Like I could see him getting $200,000, $250,000.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that this is the biggest payday of his entire career by twice as much as the next number.
Because it's just like, I mean, I'm sure he got a nice check for the 2000 Rumble that did like 400,000 or 500,000 buys, but like this is a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just hard to turn that down when you're looking at retirement at like 32 or whatever he was at this point.
For a notoriously thrifty guy such as Mick. Like, I get it. I get it. And if he had just accepted that and ridden off into the sunset, that would have been one thing. But he didn't.
Next up, we've got a cat fight as the cat faces Terry with Val Venus as the special referee. This is a really stupid match, and I don't feel like talking about it in any detail.
I fell asleep during this match, and it's only 2 minutes long.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's just a TNA match.
It's just, and that's not a TNA match, which
No.
would actually have been better.
Then we get a backstage segment with Eddie, Dean, and Saturn talking about their match against Chyna and Too Cool. The whole story is Eddie saying that Chyna wants his Latino heat.
Which it turns out she does.
She does. She is feeling that. Then Chyna talks about how she's going to kick Eddie's ass.
Which she does.
Yeah. And then we've got the Radicals against Chyna and Too Cool. Chyna is crazy over with her bazooka entrance. And holy shit, do Too Cool get a big pop.
Chyna and Too Cool at this point are two incredibly over acts that if you had to figure out what to do with them, I'm not sure what the fuck you would do with them. Like, what do you do with Too Cool? Like, what do you do with Chyna? Like, what do you do with these characters at this point?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you throw them together and have them fight the Radicals in a decent match.
They're so over, you could never take them off TV, but where are you going with either of these?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a pretty good match here. Chyna looked good. Her pants did fall down at the end of the match. That was a bit of a setback.
Sure, yeah, not ideal.
Yeah. Eddie, tons of fun here. This, I think, was his first match back after he had dislocated his elbow in his first WWF match.
Eddie is just
too much fun. Like we said before, it's so sad that we didn't get a proper Eddie Chyna match because that would have been incredible.
They would have torn the house down. They would have stolen the show.
Chyna ends up getting the win for her team with a sleeper slam. Pretty good match again. Yeah, look, I'll just say, like, I wish they had just done an Eddie versus Chyna match here.
That could have, I mean, not obviously not main evented a WrestleMania. That's absolutely insane. But that could have been like a great highlight match on a WrestleMania card, you know?
Yeah. Next up, we've got a two-fall triple threat match as Kurt Angle defends both the European and Intercontinental titles against Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. Rules are that the European title, the Intercontinental title is on the line in the first fall, and in the second fall, it's the European title on the line.
That seems backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does seem like the bigger title should be on second. But the way it worked out here, Jericho got to get the babyface pop for winning the second one.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Kurt was being managed by Bob Backlund for a little while on the way into this, and he advocated for Angle to be forced to put both belts on the line. I should also mention that I love that this is like them already in March referencing the fact that like Triple H is jealous of Kurt.
Oh, they do it from like the very beginning of the.
That's what's incredible. Like as soon as Triple H and Stephanie get together, like it's clear that Stephanie's got a little crush on Kurt, and Triple H doesn't like it.
That's literally like the first segment is Kurt comes into the office and Stephanie's like, "Hey," and that through line will take us all the way into that storyline. I love it.
Yeah. Jericho's out first. He gets a gigantic pop here.
He was such a scumbag heel not even 6 months before this.
Oh yeah, like he like remember when he like tied Chyna up and like
with a hammer?
Thumb with a hammer.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he's a babyface like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, like, and it's just so funny because that whole thing with Chyna saved his career because WWE thought he was trash. Like he had just failed in so many storylines in a row.
Well, and he also committed the unforgivable sin of stiffing Chyna when she was dating Triple H.
Yes.
Like that good way to get in trouble real fast.
It's just so funny too that like, hey, you got to go out there and treat her like anybody else. And then the second he hit her,
like, what the fuck? Why'd you hit her so hard?
Now here's the unfortunate thing is that Chris Jericho has maybe a little bit of a history about hitting women. So maybe we take that with a grain of salt when we hear about that story. However, being willing to actually work with a woman, unlike everyone else on this roster, is what saved his career.
And put her over.
Yeah.
Oof. Benoit storms to the ring second, and Angle out last, looking so awesome with his 2 belts and his gold medals.
Let's be clear. they stumble, the push that Kurt Angle gets, it winds up being successful, but not because of the push. The push they give him is trash. Like right out the bat, like the character's right, but he's beaten trash people in the mid card and needs help to do it. Like he's not getting over.
I did love the match where he's against Gangrel and he gets out of the ring and gets on the mic and he's like, seriously, you're going to cheer a vampire over me? What the hell is going on here?
I mean, the character is great and he's got it, but I don't know exactly the point at which Kurt Angle really starts to click, but right about here is where he becomes a great wrestler. And it hasn't even been a year yet. Like he catches on so fucking fast.
Yeah. First big bump of the match is Jericho goes to the top rope, but gets pushed off and crashes and burns into the announce table.
And it's pretty amazing they get any reaction for that bump, considering they just saw that ladder match 3 segments ago.
Benoit hits a diving headbutt on Jericho and gets the pin to win the IC title. There's no rest period. We just immediately start the European title match.
Yep.
Angle goes for a moonsault, but Benoit rolls out of the way. Jericho very impressively manages to hit his double powerbomb move on Angle. Angle is a pretty big guy to be deadlifting.
I always thought that was a wildly impressive move for Jericho to do.
Well, I mean, the problem was I don't think he couldn't. It was just tough for him to do it on anybody bigger than a cruiserweight.
I think I saw him do it on like The Rock one time, and I'm like, that's a big motherfucker for you to do that too.
Yeah. No, it looked like it would physically hurt him. You would see like how hard his abs were like clenching together. Yeah. Benoit hits rolling German suplexes on Jericho. Benoit then hits a full Nelson slam on Angle. Jericho accidentally knocks the ref down with a forearm. Benoit gets Jericho in the crippler crossface, and Jericho taps out, but there's no referee to call it.
Poor Benoit. He got screwed out of being the Eurocontinental champion.
Jericho gets Benoit in the walls of Jericho. Angle sneaks in to hit Jericho with the European title belt. Jericho then hits Benoit with the lion salt and gets the pin. Great booking for Angle to lose both the belts without being pinned. Benoit and Jericho pin each other, so you've got a natural feud set up for the two of them after WrestleMania.
It gives Angle the chance to move onwards and upwards without having to take a pinfall. So it's a smart idea.
Jericho loses the European title to Eddie Guerrero the next night on Raw when Chyna turns on him and joins up with Eddie because she can't resist that Latino heat.
Let's be clear. 2 title matches that are on this show, the titles change hands the next day.
Yep. Vince does a promo where he just kind of shadily says that tonight he's going to make things right.
I love Shady Vince.
Yeah. In hindsight, it seems incredibly obvious he was going to turn here, but I didn't see it coming.
I mean, the fact that anybody ever trusted Vince McMahon to stay babyface is a triumph of his acting ability, because he was always going to turn every single time.
Oh, then Triple H does a promo where he says tonight is all about being the best. And then we've got X-Pac and Road Dogg against Rikishi and Kane in a tag team match that is happening for some inexplicable reason.
Why is the Kane X-Pac feud still going on?
I don't know. Because X-Pac kept beating him.
And see, here's the thing, too, is that part of the... I have often wondered why X-Pac heat became what it became. Because
scumbag who beat up women and stole Kane's girlfriend.
Yes, here's the thing. In early 1999, X-Pac's maybe like the 3rd hottest babyface on the roster.
Yeah, he's absolutely beloved.
And then he just randomly turns with no build at all. Like he just turns because DX has to be a heel stable now.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn. He doesn't even like really turn on Kane until like 3 weeks later. He just is a heel now.
Yeah, he turns on Kane, which had been an incredibly strong pairing and like a ton of sympathy for both of them.
And he never gives a reason. He just becomes a dickhead for no reason. And I think that turned people off.
And then they do this storyline where it's like if Kane lost to Big Show, Tori had to spend the holidays with X-Pac.
And she does. And she loves that X-Dick so much.
Yeah. Well, and like they did this thing for like a week when she came back where like Test came up to talk to her and she like freaked out when he touched her arm to say hi.
And she accused him of rape to Kane, so Kane beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. So
which is funny because we know later that Test becomes like a total rapist in kayfabe.
That seemed to be going around this time.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know whether it was implied that like Tori had always been with X-Pac or if just like she had Stockholm syndrome.
I think it was that one, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, who knows? Pac and Dog come out to the awesome Run DMC version of the DX theme.
Yeah.
Love this song. Love that whole CD. That was off, was it Aggression or Forcible Entry?
That was Aggression, yeah. Forcible Entry was the rock one.
Yeah. No. Dog is over as a face, but everyone hates X-Pac, but the DX entrance still gets cheers.
It's a very confusing time.
I should shout out Kane's return on Raw. He'd only been gone for like a week or two, but the segment where he returns is an all-time classic. So there's this massive tag match going on. It's Rock, Cactus, Rikishi, and Too Cool against Triple H, X-Pac, Benoit, Guerrero, or Benoit, Malenko, and Saturn. So it's a 10-man tag match, and you've got Tori at ringside and Stephanie at ringside on commentary. As the match is breaking down, the lights go out, and they stay out for like 30 seconds. And then Paul Bearer comes out on the ramp. We haven't seen Paul Bearer in forever at this point. Comes out in a big red suit. And then Kane's music hits, and he gets the biggest pop.
That's awesome.
This is an awesome moment. Totally random in the grand scheme of things.
Yep.
Nothing much of note happens here until Tori gets a stink face, and then Kane tombstones X-Pac for the win after 5 minutes.
Man. So, if this... I'm trying to like figure out if they really ever intended to do this exploding ring match thing.
I've always heard that, but I can't confirm.
And if it is true,
they couldn't blow up the ring is the thing, because they still had to have another match after that.
Exactly. Like, where do you put an exploding ring match on this card?
I think maybe it was going to be some kind of like pit of fire match, and there was going to be a pit like up on the stage that X-Pac would get thrown into and it would explode.
I love the idea of X-Pac getting chokeslammed literally into hell. And like, just don't bring him back. Just that's the end of his career.
You know they love that spot because they've done it a million times.
Oh God, yes.
Like Vince loves people getting chokeslammed through the ring and then like flames shooting out. So after the match, Too Cool come out to do the get down with Rikishi. They kind of tease that Kane is going to dance, but thankfully that doesn't happen.
I mean, eventually it does. I mean, we've seen Kane do like fucking spinaroonies and shit at this point.
Yeah. Then the San Diego Chicken, who is surmised to be Pete Rose, shows up. But then Pete Rose shows up with his baseball bat to attack Kane. Rikishi stops him. Kane chokeslams Pete Rose, and then he gets a stink face.
Pete Rose, and I'm sure he's just doing it for the paycheck. What a sport.
This became such a great run. I mean, this is sadly, this is it, but 3 WrestleManias in a row they did this.
And literally, like, they're hyping up. Like, before the show even starts, Jim Ross is like, I saw Pete Rose outside with a baseball bat.
His annual attempt to get revenge on Kane. I can't believe they did. For next year, it would have been perfect because they did that hardcore match. He could have like pinned Raven and won the hardcore title, and then Kane could have pinned him.
How amazing would that have been if Pete Rose runs out, wins, and then just eats a choke slam?
Yeah. And now we head to the main event, and we have nearly an hour left in the show.
Ugh.
This was a long one.
And like, before we get into it, let me just say that the match that they put on at Backlash is 19 minutes long. The match that happens here, from the time that Mick Foley is eliminated and it's just The Rock and Triple H in the ring, is 17 minutes long. Why are we not just doing that match?
Because they wanted to do all the McMahons.
It's like the same amount of match with just that as it is with both of the other guys in it. They don't matter.
Kevin Kelly interviews The Rock. He talks about how it's been a year since he's been WWF champion and all the things he's been through, all the obstacles overcome, and he's going to bring it home tonight. And then we've got our fatal four-way match for the WWF Championship as Triple H defends against The Rock, The Big Show, and Mick Foley. This is what the world has come to. One of these times I'm going to say that and actually mean it.
Yeah, right.
Soon we're going to get a WrestleMania main event that doesn't suck.
I mean, we only have to wait one more year.
Yeah, we get an all-timer the year after this.
And they're pretty much all good after that.
There's that Triple H Jericho one.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
the quality of WrestleManias goes up immediately and stays up.
Yeah.
We're so close, Steve. We're so close.
Foley is out first with Linda. Big Show is out second with Shane. He gets literally no reaction.
Nope.
Rock is out to a huge pop with Vince backing him up. And then Triple H is out last. He's got Stephanie behind him. They look so cool together.
They do. Like they just have that chemistry. Like, to the point where if you told me they were fucking right here, I would have been like, well, yeah. Because they just look perfect together. If you're China and you're looking at this, you're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, like, it's hard to believe they're that good of actors.
Yes. Like, clearly there's something here. There just is.
Big Show gets to shine early, so I should explain the rules. It's elimination rules, pinfalls only, no submissions, disqualifications, or countouts.
Cool.
Big Show gets to shine early as he overpowers and dominates everyone. Press slams both Rock and Triple H. Those are two really big dudes to be picking up like that.
Yeah.
But then everybody teams up on Show. Foley hits him with a chair, and Rock hits a rock bottom, and that gets the pin. Big Show is gone after 5 minutes. See ya.
Why were you here?
Yeah.
And that's literally like the end of his WWE run as an important person. Like, it's bye.
Right down the card after this.
Yeah.
Foley and Rock gang up on Triple H. Foley holds Triple H for Rock to hit him with the bell, but Triple H ducks and Rock hits Foley instead. Foley recovers enough to bring his barbed wire 2x4 into the ring. Triple H avoids being hit with it by hitting Foley with a low blow. Then he gets the barbed wire bat and uses it on Foley. Foley recovers, hits the double arm DDT on Triple H. He pulls out Sacco. Rock comes in, hits Triple H with the WWF title belt. Then he sets up for the People's Elbow, but Foley gets him in the mandible claw. Triple H low blows both guys, which is probably the wrong move.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Foley recovers to hit Rock with the double arm DDT for a close 2 count. Rock then hits Foley with a DDT, and Triple H breaks up the pin, which doesn't really make any sense.
No, it doesn't at all.
I guess you could say he wants to be the one to pin Foley, but I don't think he should care about that.
I don't think that he does.
So sleazy, I think he just forgot what the rules were.
Yep.
Foley proposes to Triple H that they team up to eliminate Rock and then settle things themselves.
A genuinely good idea.
Yeah. Then they go out to the floor. Triple H puts Rock on the announce table. Foley gets up on the second rope, tries to hit an elbow drop, but he shorts it and just crashes right into the side of the table. I think he broke ribs.
Oof.
This is brutal, brutal stuff.
I think he said he like seriously bruised his sternum and like cracked something. It's like, ugh.
He was taking his kids to Disneyland the next day. I'm sure that wasn't fun.
It's so funny to me too that like he hits this spot pretty regularly, but like again, he's gained all this weight.
Yeah.
And like he hasn't fucking doesn't seem like he's left the couch in the 3 weeks in between. And like again, not hating on him. Like good for him. That's what I would have done if I had just retired.
Yeah.
Like yeah, he's not in any shape to be trying high flying maneuvers.
Triple H like desperately tries to get this announce table to break and has to hit Rock with like 3 elbows before he can do it.
Yep.
They go back to the ring where Triple H hits Foley with a pedigree. Foley just barely kicks out at 2. Triple H gets a chair, blasts Foley in the head with it, puts the chair down, pedigrees Foley on it, gets the 1, 2, 3. Mick Foley's career is over.
Yikes.
So yeah, I mean, tough for the crowd to get over that, but they end up getting behind Rock pretty strongly here.
Yep.
Foley comes back to hit Triple H with the barbed wire bat to get his heat back, and we're down to just The Rock and Triple H. You know, 2 guys who've been at each other's throats for years at this point. The 2 future stars of the company, they're going to do battle to see who's going to lead this company into the new millennium.
It's amazing. It really is. Like these
this
two
is
have
the match. These are the stars.
Again, I have to applaud their patience, to be honest, because this has been so clearly the match for like 9 months, and they never really do it.
Yeah, I mean, they wrestled at Fully Loaded. They had that strap match. And after that, they're in some multi-man matches after that, but yeah, they avoid the one-on-one match after that.
And even this is like 3 months after The Rock and the whole roster go on strike. So like it's clear where we're going. But like it takes us a while to get there, and I appreciate that.
They fight out into the crowd. Rock backdrops Triple H over the barrier. He gets the stairs, but Triple H hits them with a chair. And then he just rains chair shots down on Rock while he's trapped under the steps. I always love that spot.
Awesome spot. It hurts them not at all, but it looks great.
Sounds and looks incredible. Triple H again gets backdropped on the floor. Well, first Triple H goes to the pedigree. He gets backdropped over the top rope to the floor, and it looks like he lands right on his shoulder.
Yes.
Easily could have broken his collarbone.
Very lucky right there.
He then gets backdropped a second time on the floor, and when we see his back, it's clear he is really badly bruised.
Man. Like, it's just one of those things that, like, I still don't think that even to this day, Triple H gets credit for being like an all-time tough bastard.
Oh my God. Some of the stuff he does around this time. Just anytime he gets backdropped like off the announce table, that's a crazy bump.
Yeah. And no matter what happens to him, he finishes the match. It doesn't even matter.
Quad. That match against Sting a couple years ago, he clipped his back on the ring apron and had an enormous bruise.
Yes.
His whole body was black and blue.
Well, especially these days. Like, your body don't heal quite as well when you're 45.
No, and you're not taking bumps on a nightly basis. Got to build up that scar tissue. So Rock suplexes Triple H through the announce table. Vince then starts beating up Triple H, but Shane sneaks back to ringside and jumps Vince. Crowd starts chanting for Austin, but he's not coming out.
No. And, I mean, that would have been a really great moment for Austin to come out.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been fucking awesome if the glass shatters, but then The Rock would have had to win, so...
Yeah. And they wouldn't have done the massive buy rate they did at Backlash.
I don't think, despite the fact that we're like, why wasn't this a singles match? Why didn't do this? Why didn't do that? Let's be clear. They got 2 gigantic buy rates out of doing it this way. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, Backlash drew like 300,000 more buys than it normally would have.
Yes, because it's basically WrestleMania Part 2.
Yeah, with Steve Austin.
Yes.
Vince recovers. He beats Shane with some of the worst punches I've ever seen.
And this is the McMahon family we're talking about. And these are still bad by their criteria.
These guys throw some really shitty punches.
Shane throws... No, actually, I was going to say Shane throws the best punches. No, Stephanie throws the best punches of the McMahon family.
Shane's fucking jabs that miss half the time are pathetic.
I just don't know why he even bothers. Just throw fucking forearms like everybody else, man. Nobody's buying your boxing.
Shane gets Vince with a low blow and a nasty chair shot. Vince is then helped to the back by Patterson and Briscoe. Rock gets Triple H with a rock bottom. Shane grabs Rock's ankle to stop the pin. Vince comes back and knocks Shane out. Vince then gets in the ring, gets a chair, teases like he's going to hit Triple H, but he hits Rock instead. Swerve. This didn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Like, Triple H is Vince McMahon's mortal enemy. Like, think of the things he's done to him.
Yes.
Like, insulted his wife and his daughter, kicked the shit out of him multiple times, injured his son, turned his daughter against him, defiled her, like, done all sorts of terrible things to him. Why would he join up with him?
That's the thing. It's like, I could believe that maybe Vince just doesn't like The Rock. Fine. Even though there's no real reason behind that. Vince and The Rock don't ever really interact before this. Not nearly as much as like every other babyface and Vince does. It's not about The Rock, really. Why are you teaming up with Triple H? Why?
No, totally unnecessary.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I think it would have been much more intriguing to have like babyface Vince kind of feuding with Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah.
It would have been fresh.
I mean, you could have had Vince like pair up with somebody unexpected.
Yeah, I guess they just like, they go back to what they know. They know Vince is a heel. You put all the McMahons together except Linda.
You could just feel the audience rolling their eyes when he does it. Just like, oh, this again.
Yeah, they got us.
Cool.
Triple H covers, but Rock kicks out at 2. Vince hits Rock again. Triple H covers again, and this time he gets the pin. First time a heel has walked out of WrestleMania as the world champion.
And just the culmination of the mega push to the stars. It's incredible. Like, we have gone through so much of the history of this company. And to see something that has never happened before is so rare, especially this far in.
Yeah.
And just like it's the only time they ever build the product so fully around a heel. And it's just such a fascinating experiment in that way. And it's so successful.
Yeah.
It works like gangbusters, man. You build a top heel and a top face at the same time.
Well, the other time they did it really was Triple H was the top guy in the company from like 02 to 05 on Raw. And that was not as successful.
It doesn't work because he didn't really have a foil. And eventually, when Batista comes up, he does.
Eventually got Batista over. Yeah.
But that's the problem is here you have the good guy.
They lacked baby faces and like they killed them all off by having them lose to Triple H.
Here's how WWE would have normally done this all through that era is you have The Rock. All the shows are about nobody but The Rock. And then Triple H comes up and fights The Rock. And The Rock beats him decisively, and that's the end of Triple H. That's how WWE does heels.
Yeah.
Instead, they build the shows all around Triple H, and The Rock is just also there growing and growing and growing. So they grow together, and the heat's there. This is how you build real wrestling shows. And it boggles my mind that WWE as their entire history has gone so contrary to like the most basic wrestling booking trope. And they've gotten away with it. They've had unbelievable success. But like at the end of the day, they just make it so hard on themselves.
The ring is pelted with garbage. The McMahons celebrate, but The Rock comes back to beat up everyone. Rock bottom on Shane. Rock bottom on Vince. Huge rock bottom on Stephanie to a gigantic pop. And then Rock hits the people's elbow on Stephanie to end the show.
Is that the first time anyone really got their hands on Steph?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Big moment.
Yeah. 2 years in a row, WrestleMania. Well, 2 out of 3 years, WrestleMania would be built around Stephanie getting beat up because they would do it again at WrestleMania 18.
Sure would.
And then it became a WrestleMania tradition that Stephanie would take a bump when she like accidentally got hit and knocked over.
Usually from her husband.
Yeah. And that's it. We're done. That's WrestleMania 2000. What do
Yay.
we know?
We did it. We're through the bad ones.
Yeah. It gets hot after this because next time we are going on to the biggest one of them all, WrestleMania 17. What a treat this is going to be.
I'm going to watch all the TV leading up to it. I'm going to watch all the promo videos on YouTube. I want to experience this again because this was my first WrestleMania back as a fan.
And it's the biggest one there ever was.
And this so confirmed that I would be a fan for the rest of my life. It's just like
it's such an amazing show.
It's a show of shows.
And
it's a show that's so good that fans were like, I don't need to see anymore. That was it. That's the conclusion. Thank you.
It was. I mean, it's the end of wrestling history.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened since then that really matters in the grand scheme of things? Everything after it's a footnote.
It is literally the climax in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Everything led to that.
Yep. It's going to be quite a show next week. I'm very much looking forward to it. So, yeah, we've got the biggest WrestleMania of them all next time on the Lawcast. You're not going to want to miss this one.